You know what's deep about what you said is that anytime a person says that this is my favorite something, it's a part of them that lives through it.
Right, right. That's
so
true.
Like, I hate talking about myself, but I only do it in the context of the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when somebody asks me like about like my favorite something, is something about that person or something about their art that reflects my life. My favorite hip hop groups kind of tied. Number one is like Wu-Tang and Public Enemy. Mm. And like when it came to Wu-Tang and Public Enemy, you got lyrics, but you got the message.
Right.
There's something always in there for you to learn.
True.
Most people who like Tupac, I say it comes in two forms because you got the Pac that was before Death Row,
right,
and then the Pac that was after Death Row.
Right.
Both strong military minded, but the messages were different. Mm-hmm. Which Pac did you gravitate to more that made him your favorite artist?
Both. It was both. And I'm going to explain what I mean. When I first began to, you know, put the two together and I realized that this is that dude, it was the Me Against the World album. And the Me Against the World album, to me, is almost like a conscious album. And he was speaking about, like, you know, difficulties in life, struggles. He was like really, really reaching to the underdog. So I related to that part first, you know what I'm saying? But then I related to the Death Row part because at that time, a little bit after he died, you know what I'm saying? And I remember being like in the 7th grade and having to deal with a whole new community because I had finally moved into what we thought was like, oh, house. It was new community housing, but I wasn't from that area. I wasn't from that hood. So just because I wasn't from Prince Street, just because I wasn't from Howard Street, just because I wasn't from those project buildings that those kids in that area grew up from, I had to deal with the whole bullying effect, you know what I'm saying? And me, you know, being raised as a Jehovah's Witness and trying to, you know, follow that Christian mind frame of turn the other cheek, I would try to apply those principles to my own people for my people to be like, turn the other cheek, bow, and hit me again. And if it was just like, oh, like you keep holding yourself back from trying to fight back, and it was like, after a while, I just started being a loose cannon. And when I was a loose cannon and I started defending myself, all of a sudden everybody was like, start calling me assassin. That's assassin. He gonna creep up on you. He gonna sneak up on you. He gonna do this. But it's a reaction from the action that they was doing to me. You know what I mean? So when I heard the Death Row side of Pac, I was able to relate to it completely because this dude just got shot up. Got locked up for not snitching on people, go to jail, and then come out to see the same people that, you know, he had respect for to be, you know, I guess up and coming in the game and not to receive that same love, and he just reacted. He just, you know, wilded out, you know, hit him up, ain't nothing but a gangster party and all of that, you know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden he became the villain of hip-hop. But before he was the villain of hip-hop, where was the respect, you know? So it was like, I related to that because when people looked at me as the villain, you know, it was like, you look at me as the villain now, but when I was the good guy, you was like, yeah, turn the other cheek again and let me hit you again, you know? So that's why I say it's both, man. I lived through both, man.
Okay. And one thing about what you said was very enticing is that people of color are so hell-bent on finding an identity that they join groups or they celebrity worship becomes part of their
That's
identity.
true. That's true.
And even when it comes to Tupac, a lot of people, I love Pac. I love how did Pac do this and do that, but they don't know nothing about him. Which is the worst thing that comes to me because I always say I'm the original Pac fan. Don't tell me nothing about Pac. and they're like, what's an original Pac fan? I was like, did you buy Tupacalypse Now? Do you know what my homies call in?
Right.
Do you know about that? Or do you all you know about is Hit 'Em Up?
Yep, because and that's his first album.
I can take you through the whole thing.
Right.
And like I said, we sacrifice the man for a message, and it's not even the complete message he was given.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
So to bring it back towards you, and relevancy to the conversation, people are always looking for identity, whether it's through music, whether it's through celebrity, even through God, ideals, and hopes.
Right.
One thing they said about Pac was that Pac was someone who didn't have a mentor. He was the big homie before he actually became
right.
the big
He didn't
homie.
get the chance to.
Exactly. And they're saying that's kind of what made him go towards, you know, into his life the way he did. That he didn't have an OG that was there with him to really show him.
Right.
As someone who grew in finding his identity, how did you finally find your voice and not be the splitting image of something that was already established?
Ooh, that I could answer that very easy. I began to find my voice when I began to actually record myself. I started rapping like early because my older cousin Phil, you know, aka, you know, OG One Verse, he was rapping, you know what I'm saying? So technically that was my first favorite rapper, was my older cousin, you know what I'm saying? So I would write little kid raps and, you know, things like that. But when I started recording, that's when I began to find my voice, because I first started sounding like Tupac, and everybody was, you sound like Tupac, you sound like Tupac, and I would get so mad because I was rapping about my life, so I misunderstood what people were saying. I thought people were saying that I was rapping about somebody else's life, when they really was saying, like, no, your voice and the way you rap sounds like Tupac. But it was my life, so I felt as though they were saying what I was saying wasn't authentic. But nonetheless, the more people kept saying it, the more I kept striving to find different flows and to find different techniques to make my delivery. And when I started doing that, you know, that's when I really started like incorporating other artists that I was listening to, where it started going into my flow. Like, you know, Big Pun was a heavy influence for me, you know, flow wise. Big Pun was a heavy influence for me, you know what I'm saying? DMX, you know, that whole 9/8 era, you know, even Cannabis. I started not trying to bite their style, but I would listen to them and I'll be like, okay, so they style is this, like DMX got that gritty style, you know what I'm saying? So what is it about me that makes me sound different? And it made me explore myself. So that's how I started having my own individual voice, by the criticisms of my early recordings.